My husband's work wife shattered our marriage. 6 months later, I gave him the shock of his life. I, 39F, have been married to Eric, 42M, for 15 years. We met in college. I was a junior, and he was a grad student. It was love at first sight for both of us. We dated for 2 years before getting married right after I graduated. Eric always joked that he knew I was the one when I beat him at Mario Kart on our first date. We have 2 kids, Max, 10M, and Ava, 8F. Eric works as a senior manager at a big tech company. He's always been a good husband and father. Sure, we've had our ups and downs like any couple, but overall things have been great. Eric has always been my rock. Supportive, kind, and patient. I still remember the day Max was born. Eric was so nervous he nearly passed out in the delivery room, but the moment he held Max, I saw a side of him I'd never seen before. He was so gentle and in awe. With Ava, he was an old pro, changing diapers one-handed while making silly faces to keep her from crying. I used to work as a marketing executive, but I quit my job when Ava was born to be a stay-at-home mom. It was a tough decision, but Eric's salary was enough to support us, and we both felt it was important for one of us to be home with the kids. I don't regret it, but sometimes I do miss the adult interaction and sense of accomplishment from my career. About 6 months ago, Eric hired a new assistant named Lisa, 29F. At first, I didn't think much of it. Eric would mention her sometimes, saying she was doing a good job and learning quickly, but over time, I started noticing some things that made me uncomfortable. Eric began talking about Lisa a lot more. He'd tell me funny stories about things she said or did at work, and mention how smart and capable she was. It felt like every conversation somehow included Lisa. Initially, I thought it was nice that Eric had found a competent assistant he got along with, but then I started to feel a nagging sense of unease. Eric started staying late at the office more often, citing big projects and deadlines. I believed him at first, but it kept happening more and more. Sometimes he wouldn't get home until after the kids were in bed. I'd stay up waiting for him, reheating his dinner and trying not to feel resentful. One night, after Eric had been working late for the 3rd time that week, I asked him about it. He got defensive, saying I didn't understand the pressure he was under at work. We had a big fight, our first in years. Eric slept on the couch that night, and things felt tense between us for days after. A few weeks ago, I decided to surprise Eric at work with lunch. I spent the morning making his favorite lasagna, thinking it would be a nice gesture to smooth things over between us. When I got to his office, I saw him and Lisa sitting very close together, looking at something on her phone. They were laughing and seemed very comfortable with each other. Eric looked startled when he saw me. He introduced me to Lisa, but something felt off about the whole interaction. Lisa was everything I feared she would be. Young, beautiful, and clearly very smart. She was polite to me, but I couldn't help noticing the way she looked at Eric. It reminded me of how I used to look at him when we first started dating. Since then, I've noticed Eric being more secretive with his phone. He used to leave it out, but now he always keeps it with him. A couple of times, I've seen him quickly close out of screens when I walk into the room. It reminds me of how my dad used to act before we found out he was having an affair. The memory makes me feel sick to my stomach. Last weekend, Eric said he had to go into the office on Saturday to catch up on work. I thought it was strange since he never works weekends. When he got home that evening, he seemed distracted and irritable. He barely said 2 words to me or the kids all night. I've tried talking to Eric about my concerns, but he gets defensive. He says I'm being paranoid and that Lisa is just a coworker. He accuses me of not trusting him, but my gut is telling me something isn't right. The other day, I ran into Eric's coworker Tom at the grocery store. We got to talking and he mentioned how great Eric and Lisa work together. He said they make quite the team and are always laughing and joking around the office. The way he said it made me wonder if there were office rumors about them. I don't want to be the jealous, suspicious wife. Eric has never given me reason to doubt him before, but I can't shake this feeling that something is going on between him and Lisa. Last night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about how Eric and I used to be. We were so in love, so happy. We'd stay up late talking about our dreams for the future. Now it feels like we're just going through the motions, living separate lives under the same roof. I miss the Eric who used to surprise me with flowers for no reason. The Eric who would dance with me in the kitchen while we made dinner. The Eric who looked at me like I was the only woman in the world. Part of me wonders if I'm just being insecure. I know I've changed since having kids. My body isn't what it used to be, and most days I'm lucky if I find time to shower, let alone put on makeup. Maybe I'm just jealous of Lisa because she reminds me of who I used to be. But another part of me is terrified that I'm losing my husband, that while I've been focused on being a mom, he's been falling for someone else, someone younger, smarter, more exciting. I love Eric and our family more than anything. The thought of losing him makes me feel like I can't breathe, but I also know I deserve to be with someone who loves and respects me, someone I can trust completely. Am I overreacting? Should I trust Eric when he says there's nothing to worry about? Or are these red flags I shouldn't ignore? I feel like I'm going crazy. Any advice would be appreciated. Update 1. Thank you all for the support and advice on my last post. A lot has happened in the past week, so I wanted to give an update. After reading everyone's comments, I realized I needed to trust my instincts and investigate further. I hated the idea of snooping, but I felt I had no choice. The uncertainty was eating me alive. While Eric was in the shower one morning, I checked his phone. What I found made me sick to my stomach. There were hundreds of texts between him and Lisa going back months. Many were work-related, but there were also flirty messages and inside jokes. Eric had saved several selfies Lisa had sent him. The worst part was finding messages planning their work weekend together. It turns out they had gone on a trip to a nearby city, claiming it was for a conference. But the messages made it clear it was just the two of them, staying in the same hotel room. I felt like I couldn't breathe. I sat on our bed, clutching Eric's phone, trying to make sense of what I was seeing. This couldn't be real. This couldn't be my Eric. I confronted him as soon as he got out of the shower. At first, he tried to deny everything, but when I showed him the messages, he broke down. He admitted he and Lisa had been having an affair for the past 2 months. Eric swore it was just a mistake, that it didn't mean anything. He said he loved me and the kids and would end things with Lisa immediately. He begged me not to leave him. Seeing him cry like that nearly broke me. Part of me wanted to forgive him right then and there, to pretend this never happened, but I knew I couldn't. I was too angry and hurt to even look at him. I packed a bag and took the kids to stay with my sister. Eric has been calling and texting nonstop, but I'm not ready to talk to him yet. My sister has been amazing through all of this. She's let us stay with her, no questions asked. She's been entertaining the kids while I try to figure out what to do next. I don't know what I'd do without her. I did some digging and found out Lisa has a history of affairs with married men. Apparently, she was fired from her last 2 jobs for inappropriate relationships with bosses. I'm furious that Eric fell for her games. I always thought he was smarter than that. The hardest part has been explaining things to Max and Ava. They're confused and upset about why we left home so suddenly. I haven't told them the whole truth yet, just that Daddy and I are having some problems we need to work out. Max keeps asking when we're going home. Ava had a nightmare the other night and cried for her dad. It broke my heart. I've been replaying our entire relationship in my head, wondering if there were signs I missed. Was Eric always capable of this kind of betrayal? Or did I do something to drive him away? I keep thinking about our wedding day. Eric had tears in his eyes as he recited his vows, promising to love and cherish me forever. I remember feeling so safe, so certain of our future together. Now those memories feel tainted. Right now, I'm focusing on taking care of myself and the kids. I've barely been eating or sleeping. My sister practically has to force me to shower and change clothes. The kids need me to be strong, but it's hard when I feel like I'm falling apart. I honestly don't know what I'm going to do. Part of me wants to try to save our marriage for the kids' sake. We've built a life together, 15 years of memories, good and bad. Is it worth throwing all that away? But another part feels like I can never trust Eric again after this betrayal. Every time I close my eyes, I see him with Lisa. How can I ever look at him the same way again? I have an appointment with a divorce lawyer next week to understand my options. I'm not making any decisions yet, but I want to be prepared. The thought of going through a divorce terrifies me. I never thought I'd be in this position. Eric's parents called me yesterday. They don't know the details, just that we're having problems. His mom begged me to give Eric another chance, saying everyone makes mistakes. It made me so angry. Would she be so forgiving if I had been the one to cheat? I'm trying to stay strong for the kids, but it's hard. Yesterday, I found myself crying in the cereal aisle at the grocery store because I saw Eric's favorite brand. Everything reminds me of him, of the life we built together, a life that now feels like it was built on lies. Thank you again to everyone who urged me to trust my gut. I'm heartbroken, but at least now I know the truth. I don't know what the future holds, but I know I deserve better than this. We all do. Update 2. It's been about a month since I found out about Eric's affair, and I wanted to give another update on the situation. After staying with my sister for a week, I moved back home with the kids. Eric is currently staying at a hotel. We're trying to keep things as normal as possible for Max and Ava, but it's been really hard. Eric and I have had several long talks. He's extremely remorseful and swears the affair is over. He showed me proof that he reported the situation to HR and requested a transfer to a different department. Lisa no longer works at the company. I'm still not sure how I feel. Some days I think maybe we can work through this and save our marriage. Other days, I'm filled with anger and can barely look at Eric. It's like emotional whiplash. The kids know something is wrong, but we haven't told them the full truth yet. We did start family counseling to help us all process things. Max has been acting out at school, getting into fights and talking back to teachers. Ava has become very clingy, crying every time I leave her sight. It breaks my heart to see how this is affecting them. I've been doing a lot of reflection on our marriage. Looking back, I can see how Eric and I had grown distant over the past couple of years. Between work and the kids, we stopped prioritizing our relationship. Date nights became a thing of the past. We stopped talking about anything deeper than household chores and kids' schedules. That doesn't excuse Eric's cheating at all, but I can see how we got to this point. Eric wants to go to marriage counseling and try to rebuild trust. Part of me wants to try for the sake of our history and our family, but I'm not sure I can ever fully trust him again. Every time he's late coming home or gets a text, I feel panic rising in my chest. I did meet with the divorce lawyer to understand my options. She advised me to take my time making any big decisions. For now, we're in a holding pattern while I figure out what I want. I'm trying to focus on healing and being there for the kids. I started journaling and going to a support group for people dealing with infidelity. It helps to talk to others who understand what I'm going through. Last week, I ran into Lisa at the grocery store. It was awful. She tried to apologize, saying she never meant to hurt anyone. I couldn't even speak. I just turned around and left, abandoning my cart full of groceries. I sat in my car and cried for an hour. Eric's been trying hard to make amends. He's been coming over every day to help with the kids and household chores. He brought me flowers the other day, the same kind he got me on our first date. It made me burst into tears. I know Eric is hurting too. I can see the pain and regret in his eyes. Part of me wants to comfort him, to tell him it will all be okay. But then I remember what he did, and the anger comes rushing back. My friends have been split on what I should do. Some say I should leave Eric, that once a cheater, always a cheater. Others urge me to try to work things out for the kids' sake. In the end, I know it's a decision only I can make. I've started thinking about what my life might look like if Eric and I split up. The thought terrifies me. I haven't been on my own in 15 years. The dating world has changed so much, I wouldn't even know where to start. For now, I'm taking things one day at a time. Some days are better than others. I'm trying to rediscover who I am outside of being Eric's wife, and Max, and Ava's mom. I started taking a painting class at the community center. It's not much, but it feels good to do something just for me. Thank you all for your continued support and advice during this difficult time. I'll update again once I've made some decisions about the future of our marriage. Update 3. It's been 6 months since D-Day, and I wanted to give a final update on my situation. After a lot of soul searching and couples counseling, I've decided to file for divorce. It wasn't an easy decision, but I know it's the right one for me. Eric and I tried hard to rebuild our relationship. He seemed genuinely remorseful and committed to changing, but in the end, I couldn't get past the betrayal. Every time he was late coming home or got a text, I found myself feeling anxious and suspicious. That's no way to live. We told the kids about the divorce last week. It was one of the hardest conversations I've ever had. Max and Ava were upset, but I think they sensed things weren't right between us. We're working with a child psychologist to help them process everything. Eric and I are committed to co-parenting amicably. We're working out a custody agreement that puts the kids first. It's not easy, but we're both trying our best to make this transition as smooth as possible for Max and Ava. I'm slowly starting to heal and look towards the future. I joined a divorce support group and started taking art classes, something I've always wanted to do but never made time for. It feels good to focus on myself for once. Last month, I got a part-time job at a local marketing firm. It's been challenging getting back into the workforce after being out for so long, but also exciting. I forgot how much I enjoyed working. There are still tough days where I grieve for the life I thought we'd have. The other day, I found our wedding album while cleaning out the closet. Looking at those photos of us, so young and in love, made me cry for hours. Eric has started dating again. He told me out of respect so I wouldn't be blindsided if the kids mentioned anything. It hurt more than I expected it to, but I know we both need to move on. I'm not ready to date yet myself. I'm focusing on rebuilding my life and my relationship with myself. Maybe someday I'll be ready to trust someone again, but for now, I'm okay on my own. The kids are slowly adjusting to our new normal. We've established routines for when they're with me and when they're with Eric. It's not perfect, but we're making it work. Thank you all for your support throughout this journey. Your advice and encouragement helped me find the strength to stand up for myself and make the best choice for my future. I'm grateful for this community. Thank you for watching! If you enjoyed our stories and would like to hear more, please consider subscribing to our channel. Your support helps us continue bringing you captivating tales and new content every week. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. We appreciate every one of you for being a part of our storytelling journey.